Broncos country, what is going on? Hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend or start to your week, depending on when you're seeing this. Today, wanted to talk a little bit about what I feel like should be the strategy for the Broncos or strategy. Basically, Sean Payton, just don't do this one thing, and I'm going to be cool with whatever happens. We'll get into that. Want to give a shout out to everybody who has checked out my Michael Penix Part 1 film review. Still cutting that up a little bit. So sorry I didn't get part 2 released this weekend, but that'll be coming hopefully later Monday or Tuesday, just depending on like how work goes. But anyways, y'all hit that like, y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments. And of course, subscribe to David Talks Buffs. We're almost to 500. Shout out to everybody who's been jumping on board. But this is what I'm wanting to talk about, okay? There's been a lot of debate, and I've commented on it on this channel maybe a couple times. And I want to do a video devoted to it on what Sean Payton and the Broncos should do in terms of how we acquire this rookie quarterback that I think we're all expecting us to play to go get. So there are a few different scenarios or options that we could take. First is just seeing who's at 12 and just taking somebody there. The other option is to trade back, and that could be like a combination of like trading back and selecting a guy in the late first, or if you get a second round pick, selecting a guy in the second. So that's kind of the trade back option. The other option is just say, screw it. We're going with a guy that we can get on day 3 or at the end of the 3rd round. Okay. So kind of a mid to late round. Davis Mills. That's the Davis Mills strategy that the Texans executed. They took Davis Mills in the 3rd round from Stanford, and him and Tyrod Taylor, they were great tank commanders that led them to the 2nd overall pick to get CJ Stroud. And that 2022 season for the Houston Texans, if we take this approach, would be like this 2024 season for the Broncos, or vice versa. Then the other option is, and I totally get this, it's saying, guys, we're not going to be able to get that truly generational quarterback unless we're trading up into the top, I think in this case, into the top 4 or 5 picks. But really it's the top 4 because the Chargers aren't going to trade with us at 5. My concern is if we take this approach, this is the issue that I have, is that if you're taking the 3rd or 4th quarterback off the board, is the likeliness that that guy is going to hit over the 5th or 6th quarterback, is that big? Is that big enough of a difference to justify giving up more picks? And you guys know we need so many more picks after being robbed by the Russell Wilson trade. And then George Payton did us no favors, giving up a 1 and a 2 for Sean Payton. You think that a different GM would have been able to pull off a little bit more friendly of a deal involving already a 1st-round pick, but that's for another time. My fear, okay? My fear is if we trade our future 2025 first to move up and take a quarterback this year, or to use that 2025 first and a future pick, another one like a second, to get into the late 1st round or the early 2nd round, and to take, somebody who fell, for instance, whether that's Bo Nix or Michael Penix, if they fall that far. The one thing that frustrates me about that is, hey, if things don't look good this year, if it actually ends up not being a hit, if it's just not the right fit, then you miss out on what the Texans executed perfectly in the fact that they kept their own pick. Davis Mills didn't work out. He was like the 4th or 5th quarterback, I think, off the board in that draft at the beginning of the 3rd round. And they had the 2nd overall pick, so they could go get somebody like CJ Stroud. That's the only thing that's going to piss me off, is if we give up future high-end draft picks to go up and get somebody like JJ McCarthy or Drake May. Again, I'm not picky about who we pick at quarterback this year. I'm more picky about how we get that quarterback, I guess. And I don't even really feel like I'm that picky. I just don't sacrifice the 2025 1st-round pick. Just don't do it, because if things go wrong, there's a very good chance we could have a top 5 pick and be in that scenario to where we can say, like the Arizona Cardinals did, you know what, Josh Rosen, it just wasn't working out. We're going to take Kyler Murray 1st overall. Okay. And while this quarterback class in 2025 maybe doesn't seem as strong, like on average, there's still some quarterbacks that, hey, if this thing goes wrong and we end up in the top 10 or in the top 5, that there's some guys that very well could be really great pro prospects. And that's what I'm wanting to just cover here really briefly. Again, guys, let me know your thoughts on it, okay? But we'll start with some of the, like the top 10. This was from Pro Football Network. Quinn Ewers, I felt like should probably be a little bit higher, but to me, I kind of see him as like a Jared Goff type of guy. Not the greatest arm, but whatever. Jaden Daniels obviously is dynamic, just the injury bug. A little short, though. I didn't realize he was 6 foot. Not really sure about Connor Weigman or Noah Fafita in terms of their pro prospects or DJU. Same with Graham Mertz. But then you get to some really interesting players. Guy like Jalen Milrow. Can he improve as a passer this year? Cam Ward, I really, really like. A little shorter, but hey, now they say he's 6'2". I've seen 6'1", so that's nice. Shador Sanders. This is a great year for Shador because now that Pat Shurmur's the full-time OC, he's going to be playing in more of a pro style. And I think NFL evaluator scouts, they're going to get a pretty clear idea of how he would translate into the NFL playing for somebody like Pat Shurmur this year. So he very well could end up being a really good pro prospect, and I think he will be. And another guy that I don't think gets a lot of attention, I think pretty much everybody talks about Shador, which I understand. He's got great arm talent. Another guy that I think is going to really benefit from coming back for another year is Carson Beck. Yeah, he's got that QB1 size, 6'4", 215 pounds, great arm, playing at Georgia. You know he can play a little pro style. So we're just going to have to see how he improves this year as well. But I'm just not willing to take a risk right now on, for instance, somebody like J.J. McCarthy, not only to give up this year's first-round pick, but high-end future assets and maybe even multiple years. Like, I've seen things thrown around of like saying that it might take our 25 and 26 first to move up from 12. So I'm not sold on any of these guys enough to where I'm willing to mortgage our future with those high draft picks, because we were just bit in the butt by that, with the whole Russell Wilson trade. What I'm hoping that Sean Payton does is if he trades up, it's only a few spots, so it won't take our 2025 first or anything like that. I understand moving up a little bit to get a guy that maybe you're sold on, but I think ideally, and I'm preaching to the choir, for most of y'all, so I know some of y'all disagree with me, but trading back, getting more assets, if we could finish this draft with somewhere between 10 to 12 picks, I would be so pumped. I would be so pumped. And I just think either one of those guys, Michael Penix or Bo Nix, is going to be available later in the first. That's just my gut instinct, but what do I know? I am just a rando here on YouTube, just wanting to talk Broncos every day. I am no pro draft expert, but y'all let me know your thoughts. Would you be upset if we were to trade a future one or a couple future ones to move up to go get somebody like J.J. McCarthy or Jaden Daniels or Drake May? I would still be thrilled, but there would be a part of me that would die inside. So y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments. Be sure to smash that like and hit that subscribe too. We're on our way to 500. As always, Broncos fans, go Broncos.